Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster by Mirinae Lee. So this was published in 2023 and it's a historical fiction novel. I first heard about this one when it was longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction this year in 2024, and this is the first book from the long list that I have read this year because this is the one that I was most drawn to. So this book is set in a retirement village in South Korea. There is a woman who works there who has started writing obituaries for the residents who live there. And she meets a particular woman who has a very interesting and fascinating life story. And she sits down with her and in a kind of interview style, she starts recording her life. And this woman is an extraordinary woman and she has a tale of 8 lives. And in these lives, she says she has been a slave, an escape artist, a murderer, a terrorist, a spy, a lover, and a mother. So we follow this woman through the 8 different lives that she lives. And the story is told in a non-chronological order. So we start with the 5th life and then the 1st life and then the 3rd life. And I found it really interesting the way in which we saw different parts of her life at different times. And I was sitting there reading this, trying to piece it all together and follow the different threads of her life. I would say this book is a very difficult read at times. The story is truly harrowing, and because it was so difficult to read at times, it did take me a lot longer to read this book than it would normally have taken me to read a book of this length. And I would say that mainly because of the subject matter, it was a very, very difficult read. So this story is set in North Korea and South Korea, and we start during World War II and we see the Japanese occupation of Korea. We go through to see the Korean War, and then we go through to more modern times as well. And I have to say, I learned so much about the history of Korea that I didn't know before, which I think was very interesting. And so much of this is obviously based on real life events. And I think that really kind of underpins this story because you know, as you're sitting there reading this, that these things were happening to people during this time, and I think that really gave it a lot of gravitas as well. I found the main character to be an absolutely remarkable woman, and she's definitely a survivor. This story is definitely a tale of survival, and I would say that survival is one of the main themes that this book explores. We also explore themes of war, of trauma, of identity, and also shifting identities, which was very, very interesting and obviously related to the different words on the cover about the different things that she is in her life. I found that absolutely fascinating, and also we explore the themes of family, of love, of parenthood, and I thought it was a good book. I've given this one 4 stars. I definitely think it is worth a read, but like I said, it is a very difficult read. There were times when I did want to read a book, but I didn't particularly want to pick this one up because it was so dark at times. And some of the things that she experiences and some of the other characters in this story experience are just absolutely awful. So there are definitely times when this was a really, really tough read, but also I think an important read with it being tough. But I definitely wouldn't say that I enjoyed this book at times. It was more of an experience that I definitely wanted to know what happened to her. I wanted to know what was happening to other various characters along the way, but there was definitely times when I wasn't enjoying it. I appreciate that it is a good book, but I wouldn't say it was always enjoyable just because of those difficult themes and subject matters that we explored. But I would recommend reading it. I do think it is a good story, and I have learned so much. I think this is the first book that I've ever read that was set in North Korea, which is obviously a very interesting setting. And like I said, I learned so much from this story, which was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, it was a difficult read, but I think an important one and a good one. I am very much looking forward to reading more books on the Women's Prize for Fiction long list this year. So please do subscribe if you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on books from the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. And if you have read this book, I would love to know what you thought of it. Let me know down in the comments below. I will just quickly say that this isn't the story I thought it would be. I assumed that this was going to be a story about a woman living multiple lives, like an immortal being dying and then being reincarnated, or living multiple lives, just from the title. So in my head, I was imagining a kind of the first 15 lives of Harry August type of book, and that's definitely not what this book is. So when I was initially drawn to it, that's the story I was expecting to read. But that's just me assuming something from the title that wasn't true, but I still enjoyed it. But that isn't quite what I was expecting. So I just thought that I would quickly mention that about the title in case anyone else was wondering the same thing. All right then, so thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you've liked it, and I will see you in my next one.